Hi, so my name's Laure Mogadalg, and I completed the CEO Meet Masters last term. Um, it is the seventh time I'm trying to make a video that is concise enough and up to what I would want it to be. I'm not used to filming myself, so here's a little disclaimer. But first off, I'd like to thank Adriana and the Bria team for reaching out to me and actually offering this more as part of a scholarship, which meant a lot because I'm a student, at least a young professional. Um, and I think I wanted to share a little bit of what I learned from Bria and how helpful it was. And I think I'd start off by saying that, Bria, if I'm not mistaken, one of my friends told me, means creation. And I think one of the things I really loved from Bria was the space for creative thinking, was the space for a little bit of imagination, seeing how we could stretch our visions of the world and the visions of the systems we live within, and how we could also create new narratives in which we could exist as a species. Anyway, um, and yeah, if I had to compartmentalize, and that's what I've tried to do for this short video, I think there are like three levels that I really had space to think about at Bria. And I think the first one was the level of the individual. So it was asking, who am I? How do I, how do I behave? Why do I behave that certain way? And having, studied psychoanalysis a little bit, having done a little bit of psychotherapy, it was really interesting to see that some of these tools were put into that that compartment and that toolbox. And it was really interesting, to see how all these, whatever defines you also defines the leader you're going to be in whatever organization you're living in. And it was really interesting to reflect on that at an individual level. Then the second level you get to with Bria, I think, is the level of the systems. And I think that there it's really interesting to see how, as an individual, you fit within a system, and also to acknowledge how complex this system is sometimes, and how many things are sometimes or feel out of your reach. And then it's really interesting to see what small things or what actually big things at your level you can do within that system to make it shift, transform it slightly. And I think the systems approach was really interesting for me last term, especially because there was a time where my view of the world was very polarized, probably out of fear a lot. Fear of what would come next, fear linked to climate change, geopolitics, some of which, appears to have been very founded. But it was interesting to take a systems approach to it and, try to nuance and complexify my vision of the world without falling into something that would be utterly polarized and essentializing. So that was really, really interesting. And it was also really interesting to see how the systems approach had been applied in different cases, whether it was in the city of Miami, whether it was in, places like Instituto Dara, who have a really, really holistic approach to lifting people out of poverty. It was really interesting to see what tools there were available, and to see how, as an individual, I could seize these tools and use them. So there we go. And then I think the third thing I really got out of Bria, and you really get out of Bria, is that feeling of a collective and sharing with people who lived at the other side of the world, who had different life stories, different ages, and to have a conversation. And I think at first, I felt a little bit out of place because I was very young and I had very little experience, and to be honest, I was like, why the hell am I here? But in the end, I think we all learned from each other. At least I hope somebody might have learned a little bit from me, but I think so. And we had really good conversations. We had really, really good conversations about responsibility, about, citizenship, about existing within the world in which we are, about utopia, for many, many, many different conversations, which I think were really useful. And that I'll keep with me. And I think also the conversations one-to-one with Adriana are incredibly enriching. And if there's one thing I'll really keep forever from my time at Bria, is the idea, at least I strive to do, strive to follow that, I try to make my decisions not from a place of fear or a place of scarcity, but from a place of love and trust. And actually, I think, remembering that whenever I make a decision makes a huge difference to the way I live every day. And I think it's really useful tools in the age of complexity, as some call it. And it's really useful tools as an individual to live a a more fulfilling and free life. So I'm really, really grateful to Bria and to Adriana for the time they gave me and the time they gave us. And yeah, there we go. Thank you.